Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I'm gonna show you some very interesting backstory and lore related stuff in Apex Legends. When you are playing Apex Legends, you are probably always discovering new little map details that you have really never noticed before, such as on World's Edge, you may have seen these little blue dots in the sky, or way on top in the firing range in the back, there are actually bleachers overlooking the firing range. So you may have looked at these things before and never really thought much about them, but I can assure you today, we're gonna look at a wide variety of different things that you see and can do inside of this game that actually seem to have some pretty close ties to the characters in this game and the Apex games itself. Most of these things were posted originally on Reddit, and the only places you'll be able to find these lore and backstory things I'm gonna be talking about are those original Reddit posts and inside of this one video. I'm Alarmix, and let's get into the video. So out of all of the things I'm gonna be talking about during this video, I'm gonna start off the first one by asking, what was the first Apex Legends arena? Most of you will answer this question by saying it was Kings Canyon, and this is a very good answer, and at the end of the day, this will probably end up being correct. But we do have a little bit of evidence slash a teaser pointing at firing range that it could have been, in fact, the very first Apex Legends arena. So like I showed you at the beginning of the video, there are these bleachers at the very top back in firing range. This is like way above where you actually spawn into firing range. And up here you can see there is in fact a set of bleachers on the bottom and also a set on top of that. So this shows us that in fact the firing range is meant to be an entertainment place. But what kind of entertainment actually took place at firing range? So I believe there are two really good theories for this. The first theory, and I believe this is the most probable theory, the firing range is where the Legends train, obviously, because it's called the firing range. But then people would basically pay to watch the Legends train. So, that kind of makes sense. People would pay to watch their favorite Legends train. I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. But there is a second theory that I find really interesting. So, yeah, it's kind of like what I said before. This was the very first Apex Legends arena. So, for all we know, this is how the Apex games could have started out. It could have just been more of a smaller thing. But then as the fans enjoyed it so much, and then as word got out that the Apex games was super legit and super fun to watch, they could have expanded from a small place such as firing range to a bigger place like Kings Canyon. Or maybe even the firing range was just kind of like a beta. Apex games are just kind of testing some things out. Because, I mean, the firing range with the whole rock looking theme, and in Kings Canyon, it has a lot of rocks. I mean, who really knows? This firing range just could have been a beta. Like, this is all complete speculation. Don't get mad at me in the comments below because this isn't exactly what you think, but I think it's really cool to think about. And I mean, me just sitting here thinking about this a little bit longer, maybe this was the beta or the first version of the Apex games, and then it was decommissioned to be a firing range where the Legends could actually practice, their aim. So I'd love to hear guys' comments and plot holes in the comments below. Just know that I'll have my original sources for all of these things in the description below, but now I believe it is time to move on to our next sort of lore slash backstory thing. So next, I have something pretty interesting involving something that you can find on the map and Legends respawning inside of Apex Legends. So what actually happens when Legends die inside of the Apex games? So when you actually kill a Legend, it almost seems like they disintegrate into the air. And when they disintegrate, I do believe that this is the Legends actually teleporting to somewhere. So if these Legends bodies are just getting like shut up, destroyed, like they probably have to go somewhere to fix their bodies to sort of regenerate their bodies. So where would this actually be? I do believe that people on Reddit have actually found where this is, like inside of this map, or I mean at least just a theory for it. So I found a building inside of Capital City. I do believe there are these chambers like all over the map. But anyways, in our former capital city, you can see these very chambers that I'm talking about. So the theory is that once the Legends die, they sort of look like they disintegrate. They actually teleport to these chambers to regenerate. There are loads of different theories on how the Legends actually die and come back to the Apex Legends games again. But I did really think that this is a really cool one. And I do kind of have another theory on how the Legends actually respawn back into the Apex games. So we actually have a pretty cool voice line with Octane talking about the respawn chamber, and I can give you guys this voice line really quickly here.
Cole, compadre, you'll warm up in the respawn chamber, if you're lucky.
So yeah, where exactly is this respawn chamber? So if it wasn't those little capsules that I just showed to you, where would it actually be? So those little blue dots in the sky, you can actually not see them anymore because of the harvester. It kind of stirs up the clouds and blocks off the view from these little blue dots way up in the sky, but it's kind of hard to see. There are 3 little blue dots, and pretty much all the theories involving what this could be involves these little blue dots actually being thrusters. So what is actually flying in the air up there? I think a pretty good theory behind this is actually the respawn chamber, just kind of sitting over top of the Apex games watching it. Like, personally, I think that's a pretty insanely cool idea, that when the legends actually die and disappear, they go way up into the sky into this respawn chamber. Another theory, I've talked about this certain character before, is that this could actually possibly be Viper way up in the sky. If you haven't seen my Revenant full backstory video, I talk about a really cool Revenant theory that involves Viper, but I'm gonna show you a picture of Viper right now. He has these little blue thrusters. Viper's Titan is actually an airborne Titan, so he can definitely fly way up there, just as like any aircraft could. So there is a possibility that this could actually be Viper in the sky or a Titan. Like, I'm just going off right now. This is complete total speculation, but probably the most probable theory out of all of these is that when you could actually see these dots in the sky, this was Revenant actually first coming to the planet. Like, this was Revenant's deploy pod, or like whatever kind of little ship he would have used to actually get down to the Apex games. And that would kind of make sense because right as Revenant came to the game, you could not actually see these little blue dots anymore. Yeah, but I'm getting a little bit carried away here. This is all speculation, but these are all pretty decent theories, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comments below. So now I'm moving on to some updated backstory involving Wraith. So I'm just gonna quickly recap a little bit for us so we're all on the same track and you know what I'm talking about. If we go all the way back to the Voidwalker story video, we actually learn that there are a bunch of different Wraiths in different dimensions, and then the Wraith that we play as in the Apex games, she was actually experimented on and her memories were wiped. She ended up getting help from a different Wraith to actually escape the lab. When Wraith got out of the lab, she found herself in King's Canyon under construction for the Apex games. Now for you guys, I'm gonna read a little piece of Wraith's official bio. Determined to uncover her true identity, Wraith began a quest to find out more about the experiments and herself. Many of the old research facilities, however, are buried beneath the heavily guarded arenas used for the Apex games. She now returns from where she arrived in this world and joins the competition, and with every match, she gets closer to the truth. So now from this, you obviously know that in King's Canyon, Wraith competed in the Apex games to basically learn more about the labs underneath the ground where she was actually experimented on. So now on World's Edge, why is Wraith still competing in the Apex games? Well, this is a very good theory for it. There are actually some labs underneath World's Edge where Wraith was experimented on, because in Wraith's official bio, it doesn't really say anything about King's Canyon. It says many of the old research facilities, however, are buried beneath the heavily guarded arenas used for the Apex games. So this does include World's Edge. So I'm pretty sure that this is correct, that there are in fact Wraith labs underneath World's Edge, and who knows, there might be a very small chance in the future they might add a Wraith lab on World's Edge. Most of these things I find on Reddit, and then I just sort of further expand myself, so just keep that in mind, and I'll make sure to leave my sources in the description below. So my last lore slash backstory thing, this one involves healing inside of Apex Legends. So in Apex Legends, when you heal, like with a syringe or med kit, I've always kind of thought about it as like a traditional like bandages slash, you know, human heal things. But now in the game, when people like Pathfinder and Revenant get injured, they don't bleed and they're not human. So this makes us think, when people like Pathfinder are using med kits and syringes, what actually is inside of those? Like, how do they work? So on Reddit, there was a guy, I'll make sure to link him in the description. He came up with a pretty decent theory behind this, and this is really the only one that I have seen on all of the internet. The thought is that these syringes and med kits, when you're actually injecting them, it looks like you're injecting them. You guys all know that. I'll show you guys on screen. The theory is that when you are healing, you are in fact injecting nanobots into your body. This might sound a little bit silly to you guys, but the animation for this stuff, it's not like in PUBG where, you know, you're wrapping yourself with bandages. This is futuristic stuff, and they're probably using the best available technology inside of the Apex games. So a theory of injecting nanobots. This is pretty decent. This would explain how humans such as Wraith and Bangalore can heal, and also how Pathfinder and Revenant could use the same exact heals. So yeah, that will be about it for my lore / Apex Legends backstory video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you really did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and leave a comment. This is really an original idea on YouTube. No one else has really done a video just like this, so if you do something like share this to a friend to help this video blow up, that would be very much appreciated. And like I said, make sure to subscribe, because if you do not subscribe right now, you may never see my channel on YouTube ever again. I will leave a link to my Revenant full backstory video where I kind of talk about Viper and that theory. I'm pretty sure it's not correct, but it's really cool to speculate about different lore Apex Legends stuff. And yeah, that'll be about it for me, the Alarmix, and I'll see you guys later.